husband shot his wife in her work parking lot. That shooting happened at the Pomeroy Living Center on 15 Mile near DeQuinder. Gina Vici has an update on the victim's condition and the investigation.
Yeah, this is still a very active scene behind me. Take a look at this. Look at the bullet casing markings on the ground here. Sterling Heights police saying around 8 o'clock this morning they received a 911 call that a woman had been shot in the parking lot here at the Pomeroy Living Center off of 15 Mile near DeQuinder. We're told an employee was shot by her husband in the parking lot. We're told they both lived in the city of Warren and that the husband came up to his wife's employer and shot her several times. Police thankfully were able to respond to the scene within seconds. The wife was rushed to a nearby hospital where she is still alive. Police encountered the husband.
Like I said, our officers were here, very quickly. So, which makes all the difference in the world of somebody with a gun and they're actively shooting at people. So this happened to be a targeted incident because it was a domestic situation. But you never know how these things are going to transpire, right? How they're going to work out. Officers show up, you have a guy with a gun, Does he go peacefully or does this end up, turning into a shootout with our officers? It's a, very stressful situation on everybody, including our officers arriving.
All right, welcome back. We're going to get into that video real quick, but let's talk about single mothers for a minute, which is going to tie back into this situation with this guy shooting the wife. Before I proceed, make sure you hit the subscribe button. That is a new channel, so make sure you show some love and hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button so you don't miss any of the notifications. Now let's get into the single mother talk real quick. Now, the single mother situation has been there for a while. It's been there for some years, but for the past few years, maybe 2 or 3, it's become really a big deal. Guys don't want to deal with single mothers at all. It's such a big deal. Like if you watch these pop the balloon shows and all, the moment you say you are a single mother, people will pop on you, or maybe even a single father. Most people might not have the reason behind it and even be able to articulate themselves very well, expressing why they don't want it or why they don't want to deal with it. But here is a scenario for you. In normal sense, everything being equal, it's supposed to be a man meeting a partner, a woman, have kids. So you two make each other a priority and then you have kids, which you still make yourself the priority and then your kids are next. Some will disagree with me and say, well, once I have kids, my kids are my topmost priority, which in my opinion is completely wrong because these kids came after your partner. Assuming you pick the right partner that you're supposed to pick. The kids are next. Now, that is what it's meant to be and what it's supposed to be. The issue with single mothers and why men don't want to deal with it is, look at it this way. The moment a man steps into a lady's home and the lady already has a child or maybe multiple kids, this is what happens. The man steps into this relationship, and who is the man's responsibility? Who is his topmost priority? The wife. Who is the wife's topmost priority? The kids, because she has these kids before you. Who is the kid's topmost priority? The mom. They don't really know you like that, or unless they were like little babies when you stepped into the relationship. Even with that, once they grow to know that you are a stepfather, sometimes the relationship changes. So here is the deal. You step into this relationship with a single mother, what happens is everybody is your priority. You work your butt off to make sure you provide for your priority. But if anything is to go wrong, who is taking care of you and who makes you a priority? Nobody. You're on your own. So you working hard and making sure that the mother is your priority. Nobody has your interest at heart. You have everybody else's interest at heart, but they don't have your interest at heart. Majority of the time, the mother has the child interest at heart because the mother has the child before you stepped in. And the child has the mother's interest at heart because the child knew the mother before you stepped in. But when you step in, everybody else is your priority and everybody else's interest comes before yours. So you see how that goes. And that is why most of the time men are just saying, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. I want to have my own. The issue that we have nowadays, even with cheating culture right now, is that most of the time, well, according to some statistics, it's 30%. And I've seen some other statistics that says that's completely false and it's about 1 to 5%. I don't know whichever one is true. Let's leave that for now. The cheating culture now is that people in marriages would cheat, have babies by other men, and give these kids to the husband. And that is where this scenario comes in. So let's take a look.
Husband shot his wife in her work parking lot. That shooting happened at the Pomeroy Living Center on 15 Mile near DeQuinder. Gina Vici has an update on the victim's condition and the investigation.
Yeah, this is still a very active scene behind me. Take a look at this. Look at the bullet casing markings on the ground here. Sterling Heights police saying around 8 o'clock this morning they received a 911 call that a woman had been shot in the parking lot here at the Pomeroy Living Center off of 15.
Man, that marks right there looks like he gave a lot of rounds. Those marks shows he probably shot him multiple times. And I haven't watched the whole thing, so I have no idea. But let's continue.
Mile near DeQuinder. We're told an employee was shot by her husband in the parking lot. We're told they both lived in the city of Warren and that the husband came up to his wife's employer and shot her several times. Police thankfully were able to respond to the scene within seconds. The wife was rushed to a nearby hospital where she is still alive. Police encountered the husband.
She's still alive, so that's good news. See, that is what is going to happen with this most of the time. Everybody is responsible for their choices, and they should know that whatever choice they make comes with consequences. So whatever it is that she did, she should have thought about that is going to come with this type of consequences. Because imagine a man taking care of 3 kids and coming to find out that none of them, let it just be one, not his. And at least he got 2 of them as his. Something went wrong somewhere, you cheated along the line. Okay, something can be done with that. But all three not his. Who knows? All 3 can even be different baby daddies. I doubt it's even by the same man. So her actions leads to consequences. And I'm not saying this man is right for doing that. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I'm saying is actions have consequences. And so this man shooting her is also going to deal with the consequences that comes with that. The thing with this type of situation is if he has a good lawyer, he will probably still serve some time, but can get it reduced because they can fight for temporary insanity based on the situation. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, so I have no idea. But just what comes to mind.
Was armed with a revolver and were able to take him into custody. Here is Captain Mario Bastianelli talking about the moment officers encountered the gunman.
Like I said, our officers were here, very quickly. So, which makes all the difference in the world of somebody with a gun and they're actively shooting at people. So this happened to be a targeted incident because it was a domestic situation. But you never know how these things are going to transpire, right? How they're going to work out. Officers show up, you have a guy with a gun, Does he go peacefully, or does this end up, turning into a shootout with our officers? It's a, very stressful situation on everybody, including our officers arriving. All in all, a good ending to a bad situation.
Again, we're told the female victim is expected to survive despite being shot several times in the body. And again, her husband has been taken into custody. No word yet on when he could be charged. In Sterling Heights, Gino Vici, CBS News, Detroit.
I wonder how many times he actually shot her to survive. She's probably meant to survive at this point. It's not even funny. I'm not supposed to laugh. It's not even funny. I wonder how many times he actually shot her. But I'm not mad at it. Not because she deserves it, but because I can understand how you will go nuts and crash out like this. To be in a family that you call your own family. You wake up every day, work hard, go to work, put your butt to work and work hard just to take care of your family and your kids, only for you to find out that none of these kids are yours. Now, this reminds me of a couple of years ago, there was this similar story, almost the exact same thing, because they were in their old age, like 50, 60-year-olds. And this man, one of his kids went to do like a DNA or ancestry test or whatever, and then find out that she's not the daughter of the father that she knows, right? The father proceeded to check all the kids, and none of the kids was his. Now, this is the sad part, because now it's becoming a thing. It's becoming a thing. It's even in Africa. Like, if you go to Africa right now, there are a bunch of these footballers, a bunch of these rich folks that will go to check on their kids, and none of these kids are theirs. It's become a thing now, and which is why people, especially men, are fighting for paternity tests being mandatory. I'm not really with that being mandatory per se. I'm not really with it. I feel like if you pick the right person to begin with, you shouldn't worry about that. The problem is nowadays people are not taking their time to find the right person. People are not really taking their time to find the right person. Situations get people into relationships and marriages. That's where I think most of the problem is, instead of taking the time to find the right person to go with. Now, with this situation, him crashing out, I don't blame him. And most of the time, the defense that ladies will give to this is, not even attacking the lady per se. Women will give the defense that, well, you don't have to stop taking care of the child. You don't have to leave the home. You've taken care of them their whole life. They've known you. They've loved you. You have loved these kids as your own. Why stop now? Would you tell your son to do that? Would you honestly tell your son to do that? That you've married somebody for 10 years. You have 3 kids. Let's say 9, 7, 5. And then you find out that none of these kids are yours. Not even one. Would you tell your son to go ahead and love these kids and not feel no hurt? Nothing. Just because you've always loved them. Go ahead and proceed to loving them. Of course, we can understand that. Look, if you do this to a man, people will lose their minds. We are human beings. You will lose your mind to know all the stress that you've gone through since they were born to provide for them. Provide for your family, you thought, your family, only to find out that your wife been cheating the whole time. You will crash out. And I'm not saying he's right for doing it. Of course, he's going to deal with the law with that. But I can understand that, look, if you do this to a man, something will pop off. He's going to crash out if he finds out. Now, the thing, though, is instead of you actually just staying, and when it happened the first time, let's go with that. When it happened the first time, that was the time to exit that relationship. That was the time to exit the marriage. It wasn't the time to still stick around and keep doing it and doing it and doing it. Imagine if it was just another man. One single person that impregnated her the whole time. That even sucks. And I think in one of the videos that I was listening to, which I didn't finish that as well, they mentioned that she was actually cheating with the guy's family, like the guy's brothers or something like that. That's even crazy. That's like nobody but the guy's brothers. That's wild. But this is the type of behavior that we are now condoning, right? Because instead of telling people this is dumb and stupid, instead of telling ladies like, yo, this is stupid, and these kind of situations, these kind of actions will come with a reaction, and somebody's gonna crash out. See, just imagine that she didn't survive. Would the family really be upset about this? About this man crashing out like this? For years and years, like, this is crazy manipulation. It's mind-boggling to know that you are in a relationship, you marry this person, and the whole time you were getting impregnated by somebody else. How? But then, when we talk about situations like when you get into a relationship, get to know their past, get to know a little bit about their history, get to know about their family traits. Because most of the time, if you go into the family, you might be able to see this coming. If you go into a relationship and you get to know the family, the mom, the siblings, the cousins, the people she's close to, and then you find out that the mom has a bunch of baby daddies, or the cousins got a bunch of baby daddies, and they see that as normal. chances are you are going to become one. If this type of behavior runs in the family, you can bet on the exception. Of course, there is always an exception. You can bet on that. But chances are you will end up just like that. And I think these type of behaviors don't just pop out of the blue like that. I think if this person probably looked back into her past, looked back into her family, there is something there to let you know something like this can pop off. But most of the time we don't check. Once again, thank you for watching and see you on the next one.